Hey guys, welcome back to Preteen Ministry. I hope you enjoyed our discussion on arts and entertainment. Today we're going to be talking about the business mountain, and you're going to find that there's a lot of overlap with these mountains. I mean, when we're talking about Sony, and we're talking about Disney, and we're talking about Xbox or Nintendo, we're talking about Apple products and all that sort of stuff. There's, as much as all that is arts and entertainment, these are still businesses. They're designed to make money. We are going to talk about in this session the companies that are basically really tailoring their products and their services to preteens, as well as the brands, some of them that the preteens are loyal to. We're also going to talk about cancel culture and in regards to basically today's age. Morality is tied so much to our spending. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of that, and try to navigate maybe if there's a better way to express morality without virtue signaling, without this moral elitism that we see on social media. We're going to start by praying, and then I'm going to show you a video. We're going to do two videos today, one at the beginning, one at the end. So Father God, we thank you so much for this time together. Thank you so much for business. Lord, you gave us the ability to make money. I thank you that in this nation, the United States, we have the ability to be free in making our money as well as spending our money, making our own decisions and taking responsibility for our own decisions. You gave us a free market here, and we're so grateful. We don't want to take that for granted. Lord, we know it's not the same way across the world. And I pray that you would protect us against any greed, and you would protect us from any sense of trying to put shame on others and how we're spending. And I pray that you would give us wisdom and revelation, as always, to develop strategies on how to reach preteens, and specifically today, this mountain of business. Lord, I thank you. I love you. I glorify your name. Amen. So, two videos today. Both are addressing cancel culture. And like I said, we're going to be diving pretty far into this subject because it's so relevant today. There's so many decisions that need to be made in terms of, anytime you click that button online of submitting payment, there's so much tied to that decision now that wasn't available, before. I think of conflict diamonds, in the process in which people were brutally treated to create money for people that had no ties to the process. And we're doing all these things, and some very good stuff has come about in the sense of, especially with conflict diamonds. Now, diamonds that are sold, at least in the U.S., have to have a certificate of authenticity stating, hey, these are conflict-free diamonds. These were mined, these were obtained without the brutal treatment of past generations. And that's just one example. So I'm not saying cancel culture is all the way bad. We've reached a threshold today where cancel culture is becoming really wicked because it's almost viewed as like this weapon to attack anybody that doesn't agree with us, and that's wrong. So we're going to back up, and we're going to kind of build our way up to cancel culture.
Can I help you, officer?
Sir, could you identify the man in this photo?
Looks like me in 8th grade, unfortunately.
You have a fedora on in that photo.
Yeah, I mean, those were the times, right? Fedora and Ophora. Justin Timberlake made him cool.
Okay, he made it cool for maybe 6 months, but it doesn't matter. It was cool then, but it's not now, so I have no choice.
Wait, am I in trouble for this?
Do you think you're bringing sexy back? I bring that evidence back. You're canceled.
I'm sorry, I guess. I don't know. I didn't know that was wrong.
You don't mean it. You don't mean it. Slow-mo.
Bad boys. What you want, what you want, what you gonna do?
Got to call in on another guy. Said been acting a little sketchy, so we're gonna see if we can't talk to him, see what's going on. Oh, there. Oh, we got a runner. Runner. Hey, runner. Ah, hey. Come here. Hey.
What is going on? What are you
Hey,
doing?
calm down. We unearthed an indecent photo of you in front of a woman. Is this you?
Is that me being born? That's my mom.
But if you did that today in front of a woman, it would not be okay.
Well, every baby's naked, I think.
Don't make me say it.
What?
You're canceled.
No,
Come with me.
I'm
You're
sorry.
Canceled.
I'm sorry.
No, ask for forgiveness.
Please forgive me.
No one will. Let's go.
Oh my God.
Let's go. You're coming with me.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do?
Hi. How can I help you? Sir, you want to tell me what you think you're doing here in this photo back from March? I don't know. What's the problem? You're not wearing a mask. We weren't supposed to. But now you're supposed to. I know, right? The CDC was like, don't wear masks. And now they're like, it doesn't matter what was going on back then. It matters what's happening now, and you're supposed to be doing it now, so if you didn't do it then, guess what? I don't really understand. What did Fox do to the show Arrested Development? They canceled it? Bingo. And we're arresting your development. Canceled.
No, I'm sorry. No, please.
What you want, what you gonna do?
Hi, sir. Listen, we have you down from many years ago, illegally smuggling exotic animals across international borders, as well as an unregistered watercraft. Okay, that's not okay in today's age. What do you have to say?
Whoa. That watercraft was registered by God.
Sir, I need to see some ID.
Here you go. It is made of wood, so don't get it wet.
Okay, just one name, huh? Or do you, Beyonce or something? Is this a fake? Says you're 850 years old.
I know. It's a little low. I need to get a new picture. It's like 834 years old.
Sir, in today's world, treating animals like that is not okay. So since you did it back then, I have no choice. You're canceled!
What? No. It was Ark.
You're canceled, everything with it. We're repainting the daycares, changing the children's books.
Are you hearing this?
And from this point forward, it won't be Noah's Ark. It'll be like Lizzo's Ark, or maybe Seinfeld's Ark, Oprah's Ark. I don't know, we're working on it, but canceled.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do?
All right, we're pulling up here to a Mr. Weinstein's. Heard some pretty bad stuff about this guy. We're gonna see what we can do. Okay, the real cops handled that one. Yeah, that was pretty sticky situation. So we're gonna get back to some puttier stuff. Let's go.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do?
My question to you is, what do you call a customer who wants to buy everything you have and doesn't care what it costs and is usually about 5 feet tall? That's right, you guessed it, a preteen. Customer loyalty is really important. Regina A. Corso, she was the Senior Vice President for Youth and Education Research at Harris Interactive. She says this: youth of today have spending power, and they also have loyalty to brands. Some of this comes from their parents, but they also make their own decisions. Brands who tap into this loyalty when a customer is a tween and nurture it through the teen years will have an extremely loyal customer by the time the customer is a young adult. Companies need to remember that consumers do not magically appear at the age of 18. The world tailors their advertising to preteens and youth because they want that business. In just a little bit, I'm going to share with you some of the statistics in the different industries and how much of the pie is made up of specifically preteens ages 10 to 12. In the church, we do very little to know what preteens like, how they think, the world that they live in. We have this false assumption that young people just have to go along with the things that we like and do things our way. But we have to keep up with the times. You know, just because your methods change doesn't mean your message has to change. But at the same time, what worked for 90s preteens does not work for today. We have to understand the times. I really love the scripture about Issachar and discerning the times, because our methods have to change. If our methods never change, what we're doing is we're ministering to memories rather than individuals. According to CNR Research Incorporated, there are 20 million preteens just in America alone. And they are responsible for $260 billion every single year. That's a staggering number, $260 billion. In gaming and entertainment, preteens make up 82% of all products and services sold. With food and beverages, they make up 57% of all products and services sold. Toys and collectibles, they make up 42%. All clothing and accessories, they make up 40%. It's amazing to me just how much that preteens have this spending power. And you're probably asking yourself, well, how are they getting this money? Well, a variety of ways. Some of them are mowing lawns and selling lemonade. Some of them are getting money for their birthdays. Some of them are getting chores, money for their chores. There's a variety of ways preteens are getting money. And we're going to talk a little bit later about, how preteens are actually a lot more rich, especially due to the current generation we are in the digital age, and how preteens and youth are leveraging the power of social media in order to gain wealth. So they have tons of money. And if you're a business person, you want to make money. And so you're going to target the demographic that is going to yield the best results. They want a piece of that pie. Those statistics are staggering. And that's just in the United States alone. That's not counting preteens around the world. We don't act enough like the business person who wants to yield the best results. There's a statistic that 80%, I think it's over 80%, of people who give their life to Christ will do so before the age of 18. But we are still so adamant about ministering to adults because we want to feel like we have the respect. We want to feel like we have the status. But if we want to yield the most results in the sense of lives being changed and transformed, then ministry to young people really is the most effective use of your time. And businesses know that, and I'm hoping throughout the course of this semester, you're going to get to know that. Preteens, they love Doritos, Mountain Dew, Takis, Sour Patch. Businesses know that if they can get a preteen to pick up their product and the preteen likes it and keeps buying it, that preteen will become a customer for life. And they want repeat customers. How are you developing repeat customers with your preteens? Are you providing an atmosphere in your ministry that preteens want to be a part of and invite their friends to? Those are questions that we really need to ask ourselves. It goes back to that righteousness versus relevance. We don't change the message. We keep true to our convictions, but at the same time, create an atmosphere that is fun and welcoming for preteens. Let them know that you actually do care about them and want them around, and you care about how they think, and you care about what they're interested in. D.L. Moody, evangelist, but was first a salesman. And the reason why he was such a successful evangelist is because he applied the same principles of selling products to sharing the gospel. He basically said, I have something you need, and you will need it for the rest of your life. That's basically what you do in business. You create a need and you fill the need. And that works in business. That works in evangelism as well. And so when you're talking about business, a lot of us, we in the church, we kind of take two opposing viewpoints, and we're either shy away from making money, saying that the love of money is the root of all evil, when in reality it says the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. There's still other roots that produce evil, lust, and pride, come to mind. But so we kind of take either that route of money is evil, so I'm going to stay away from it, or we take the other route of God's going to prosper me, and we have this prosperity gospel message where, we're only connected to the Lord if we have a lot of wealth. And both of those philosophies are not really holy or founded in Scripture, like in terms of the wholeness of Scripture. You may find verses that support your individual theologies, but you're not going to find overarching themes of either one of those across the entirety of the Bible. We're going to get into the products that preteens specifically like. We have to understand that, we can't just shy away from the world completely, and we can't just be in love with the world either. There's a balance there that needs to take place. If you don't like the word balance, think of the word healthy. What is producing the most healthy individual? We can't just be hermits, but at the same time, we don't want to just be a servant or a slave to the world system. So we have to understand what preteens are doing. We have to understand that they are their own people group, and so they have their own identity. So let's get right into it. For the guys, there's some very specific brands that advertisers will market to young men. And again, we live in a very interesting time where there's so much gender fluidity. These are just generalizations, okay? So if you're a girl that likes one of these products, don't be afraid. It's okay. If you know a girl that likes these products, that's okay. Don't be afraid. It doesn't mean that they're going to switch genders or whatever. It just means that we live in different times. So for the guys, we have Marvel, GameStop, Star Wars, Nerf, Lego. Lego's business model was, to be fair for me, I grew up with Legos. My grandparents had, the blocks were a little bit bigger, and it was just blocks. But then as the digital age came to fruition, Lego was just like, okay, we're going to get into video games. We're going to get into making TV shows, and we're going to get into making movies. Absolutely love the Lego Batman movie. They did a brilliant job of making those Lego movies, and they're continually making them. Marvel, oh my goodness, they were the game changer for superheroes. It used to be where, these superhero movies were kind of few and far between in terms of how good they were. But what Marvel did was create this overarching storyline with this consistency of character development and made this entire franchise to where, the last, in Avengers Endgame, that actually basically created a world record of, making the most money. And then you have, Nerf, they did something really creative in terms of entering into the new generation by creating YouTube videos to promote basically war, and Star Wars. Honestly, I'm not a Star Wars fan, and for those of you, for being a pop culture geek, I know it's very strange that I wouldn't like Star Wars. I kind of stopped my loves for Star Wars at the Mandalorian show. I thought that show was brilliant. But for me, Star Wars is not about storytelling anymore. It's just about making money. For the ladies, we have Justice, Rue 21, Claire's, Gap, Aeropostale, MAC. A lot of the advertising for these are they have specific brands within the stores themselves that will target to preteens. For example, Rue 21. I think I had mentioned this in a previous class, but they had underwear, thong underwear specifically for preteen girls. And honestly, to this day, I'm shocked. That's why I bring it up so often, because I'm like, I just can't wrap my mind around any parent that would want their 10-year-old girl to dress sexy. That's just something that doesn't compute within my own brain. In terms of getting social, preteens are, a lot of this stuff is before COVID, and so we're having to get a little bit more creative in terms of our social environments. But before COVID, it was movie theaters. Now movie theaters are starting to open up again. My son made an interesting observation in terms of movies and the Academy Awards is because the theaters have been closed for so long and so many movies have been postponed almost indefinitely that he's just like for the Academy Awards we have like the choice of Sonic the Hedgehog for like Best Picture just because there's so many limited options of what's available this year because so many movie companies have postponed their movies because they make a lot of movie by having them in theaters. But I believe we're getting back to a point where theaters are going to become the norm again. It might take a little bit of time to get there, but at least we see them reopening. Roller rinks, the swimming pool. Over the summer, I went to Hawaiian Falls, and preteens and youth were there in droves. It is almost like COVID didn't exist. It was just because everyone was just excited to be out. It was open, it was legal. Not everything is legal to participate in nowadays. And so it was very much like this time of like, we just need to get out and do something. And then you have like the malls with their stores. Again, businesses are rethinking real estate because of COVID. How much can they go to virtual shopping? Is there really a need for physical locations? In terms of getting social for a preteen, it becomes even more difficult nowadays. However, it's also imperative that you as like family members or preteen ministers are getting these young people integrated with each other outside of just the screen, because there's something about physical health and making sure if we're saying that health is our number one priority, we have to understand there's something about psychological health as well, and that God made us to be social creatures, and we have to do everything that we can to be intentional about being social. So because we're in the digital age, we have to talk about products that kind of market to every, both genders, every background, every ethnicity. YouTube is huge. It is losing its popularity. Android, Instagram. We had talked about before how Facebook was like the number one social media app, but then all the parents came on to Facebook, and so all the young people left and went to Instagram. Instagram is still, to this day, hundreds of millions of users, over 80% of which are preteens and youth. Netflix, a lot of the shows are being marketed to them now. TikTok, we have to talk about TikTok. It used to be Musical.ly. It's a Chinese company, for those of you that are not familiar with it. And what we have to understand is that all of these apps, they rely on garnering your personal information. And so there's this big controversy surrounding TikTok on whether or not the United States should have a Chinese-owned app that's collecting U.S. citizens' data, especially since China is not exactly America's biggest fan, and they can use that as a weapon against us. Whether you agree with that or not, that's the debate that's going on. And so we also have to realize that if we're going to speak to Gen Z, we're going to speak to preteens. TikTok is going to be a part of that conversation, because It is widely popular. I personally am not a fan of TikTok. I don't use it. I don't have a channel or whatever. But I know of ministers, like youth ministers and children's ministers who have used it to great success because they do it in like more of a fun way, not a serious way. Microsoft has to be a part of the conversation. PC, it's amazing how much PC has held on, and it's because of its vast customization. Same thing with Android. Apple, everybody knows about Apple's influence in the world. iPhones, MacBooks, iPads. Snapchat, there's 2020 statistics say that there's still hundreds of millions of users, and just like Instagram, it is 75% or more is preteens and youth. Amazon changed the game in terms of business. They are the behemoth, the giant, the Goliath in the online business world. You can pretty much get anything. I found, I think it was mountain lion urine on Amazon. Honestly, there is crazy stuff. And don't ask me why I was researching mountain lion urine. I am a writer after all, just FYI. You might think that's weird. So let's talk about Christian businesses. The marketplace surprisingly has quite a few Christian businesses. And Christian businesses need two things. All businesses need two things: a great product and great customer service. And that's how I identify where I shop. Some companies do it well, and you may say that you're not going to work somewhere or shop somewhere unless they hold prayer meetings and play Christian music and all this sort of stuff. But in reality, you just have to ask yourself, is this business conducting themselves with integrity? Do they have good business practices? Are they obeying government standards? Are they protecting you from liability? Are they offering a good product and good customer service? That's where my loyalties lie. My wife worked for a company for a summer while we were students at CFNI, and they had prayer meetings and they had played Christian music in the office, and their owners were self-proclaiming Christians, but their business practices didn't line up with their faith. And so their customer service was really janky. The products they offered, the way they treated their employees, none of it lined up with their profession of faith. And so what ended up creating is an inconsistency where, oh yes, we have prayer meetings and we want God to bless us, but God's not going to bless you unless you are obeying His will. I don't care how many prayer meetings you have. If you are not obeying His will, you are not going to walk in the favor. It's just His principles. If you walk according to His principles, that's how you get favor. Not just by saying this ethereal prayer that stops at just mere words. Now, don't get me wrong, there are businesses that hold prayer meetings that have good business practices. But don't go to the places that simply, have prayer meetings but are being hypocrites. Just because you buy a product doesn't mean that you have to agree with all of their political or moral views. When I buy soap, I am not damaging my soul if the company donates that money to Black Lives Matter or ACLU or even the KKK. It's not my responsibility to tell a business person what to do with their profits. It's like when you give your money to a homeless person. It's not a gift if you force that homeless person telling them what to do with that money. If you're just trying to control them on what to do with their money, don't give them money, just buy them a meal or something. The minute that you try to control their behavior is the minute that you're in really dangerous, murky waters. When I buy soap, I just want a product that smells good and gets me clean. I'm a very simple person in that regards, because I don't want to overcomplicate. I don't want to thrust all this shame and guilt upon myself. Some of the Christian companies that exists, they are doing a great job in the culture. Mary Kay, Tyson Chicken, Alaska Airlines, In-N-Out Burger, Interstate Batteries, obviously Chick-fil-A. They're kind of like the gold standard of offering a good product with great customer service. Hobby Lobby, there has been some controversy in recent years and even over the course of the last couple weeks in terms of how they conduct themselves. But I've had nothing but good experiences with Hobby Lobby personally. And so you have all these companies that are Christian companies or led by Christian individuals, and their testimony is conducting their business with integrity, conducting their business with kindness towards their customers, loyalty to their customers. Today we attach so much guilt to our shopping that, it makes it hard to, can I shop at Hobby Lobby? Hobby Lobby came out and there was recently on Twitter, there was this picture of, this display in support of President Trump, and all these people are like, we're going to cancel Hobby Lobby because they support President Trump. Well, that's just putting unneeded guilt on people. It's not a sin to support President Trump, whether you agree with his policies or not, or his personality or not. If you research every company you shop from, you will find something you don't agree with. For example, I got AT&T for my internet service at home, but AT&T provides money to Planned Parenthood. In fact, if you look at the Planned Parenthood donors, you're going to find a whole bunch of people that support Planned Parenthood that you never thought. And if you're like, well, I'm not going to support any business that supports Planned Parenthood, you're going to be in a very hard situation, because if you're going to stay consistent with your virtuous elitism, you'd have to basically become Amish and separate yourself from the world completely. You'd have to be self-sustaining. You'd have to create your own electricity via water mill or something. You'd have to churn your own butter, make your own clothes, grow your own vegetables, build your own house. You'd basically have to be self-sustaining completely if it came right down to, well, I'm not going to shop at any place that I don't agree with their morals. And most of the time, those people that don't agree with their morals, it's not born out of this great morality that they have. It's born out of this severe guilt that they feel that society has just thrust upon them. We're going to watch our second video now. This is from John Christ, and it's just really funny. He goes into Walmart, I think, and just goes throughout all the products, and just kind of in a funny way talks about, oh, we're going to cancel this and cancel that and cancel this and cancel that. He kind of takes it to the extreme, but it's really funny. After this video, we'll come back and talk about it a little bit, so enjoy.
We got rid of Aunt Jemima, we got rid of Uncle Ben's, but I am wildly triggered by the brands and the photos that I see in this grocery store. Using a polar bear to sell your ice cream, Klondike? Did you know polar bears were extinct? No thank you, canceled. Paw Patrol mac and cheese. Listen, defund the police, defund Paw Patrol. V8, you know what kind of emissions an engine like that puts out into the environment? I drive a Prius and that is canceled. Okay, I don't exactly know who this guy is, but I don't like his look at all. I don't like anything that this guy stands for. Canceled. White rice, brown rice. Why they gotta be separated? Think about it. Canceled. Uncle Ben's? Absolutely offended by that. Listen, do I know any minorities myself? No, I don't, but I feel very confident speaking on their behalf on the internet. Hola, Tapatio. Una pregunta. You ever heard of cultural appropriation? Canceled. Oh, look at there. It's a woman leading a cow against its will to the slaughter. Selling popsicles shaped as bullets. Wow, absolutely canceled. Blue Ribbon, everyone's a winner. Thank you. That is the only brand of ice cream I will support. Rebel Ice Cream. Wow, why don't you just change this to Soldier in the Confederate Army ice cream? Okay, I just looked up Red Baron. Red Baron is a fighter pilot in the German Air Force in World War I. Seems extremely anti-Semitic. Orville Redenbacher, look at this guy. He definitely made some mistakes in his past. You want to cancel him? We can if we want. I'll look up some mistakes that he made in his past and we can cancel him. I need to appease my white guilt by virtue signaling on the internet. The Keebler Elves. Isn't that cute? Well, it's 2020. They're called little people. Canceled. Tombstone. What stands on top of a tombstone? A statue. Tear them all down. Canceled. Ezekiel bread, as described in the Holy Scriptures. That's offensive to atheists? Canceled immediately. Oh, little Debbie. Why does she have to have red hair? Offensive to gingers. Canceled. Hey, Granny Smith, you ever heard of, ageism? Canceled. What do we have here? Country gravy, $7.58. Brown gravy, $7.47. I'm just saying, think about it. Tupac. You ever heard any of his lyrics? Very violent. Is that what you guys support? Spam? Add them to the list. Canceled. It's 2020 and Oreo is still separating the light and the dark. You know who's out here solving racism in a Walmart? Duplex. 1850. You know what those dates are? Pre-Civil War. You know another term that means pre-Civil War? Antebellum. That's right. Just like the band, that brand is canceled. Oh, super fun. Barnum and Bailey's Animal Cruelty Crackers. Canceled. A woman carrying salt alone in the rain. Absolutely not. Just looked up the definition of minion. 1, an underling or follower of a powerful person. 2, a servant. Canceled. If the Dixie Chicks are canceled, then so are these plates. There are thousands of products in this grocery store, and if I consume any of them, I also support the political and moral choices of everyone involved in that company, which makes literally no sense, but it's 2020 and here we are. Wheat Thins. I don't think so. Another impossible standard for women to live up to. Let's get some wheat thicks up here and then we'll talk. I love Lizzo. Okay, now we're in the cleaning aisle. We got 2 dish scrubbers with hands with fingernail polish on them. Why do the women always have to do the dishes? Canceled. Arm and Hammer seems very oppressive. Hey, Rice Krispie treats, why don't you try some diversity? White. Canceled. Megan Rapinoe on the Cliff Bar. Thank you. Gender wage gap finally solved. Oh, what's that? And this doesn't mean anything at all and we still have real problems that we need to address? Okay. Oh, sorry.
Hate and love are powerful motivators. Canceling a business or a product or a person is all born out of hate and doesn't attack the real root of issues. You know, I think of Aunt Jemima, and everybody's like, oh, we need to cancel Aunt Jemima. We need to change the branding. We can't have this black woman, we can't have this like slavery symbol on our syrup bottle. But does that actually attack the issue of racial reconciliation if we just don't buy syrup? You know, is it really going to make the difference that we're intending to make if we're like, oh, we got to attack Aunt Jemima? Or because the unintended consequences, if everybody's canceling Aunt Jemima, what you've done is put hundreds of people's jobs in jeopardy. And is that something you really want to do? What if there's black people that are working for Aunt Jemima and they had to lose their jobs because Aunt Jemima isn't making money anymore? And so what you've done, because of your virtue signaling, you've actually taken jobs away from black people. You know, we don't think about that. We don't think about the unintended consequences. We just think about, oh, I am virtue signaling on Facebook and I'm showing the world how elite I am and how great my morals are, and we're giving ourselves a pat on the back and a little gold star on our sheet, and we don't realize that we're ruining people's lives. Literally ruining people's lives. Canceling a business is not going to deal with the root cause of these issues. Instead, try supporting businesses that you agree with instead of canceling the ones that you don't agree with. That way your motivation is love and not hate. And the businesses you admire end up gaining more influence. You know, that for me, that's a much better way of handling your morality when it comes to your spending. Support the businesses that you admire rather than canceling the businesses that you find distasteful. Let's give an example. Goya Foods recently came out in support of President Trump and thanking him for his involvement in their business. And social media blew up and said we need to cancel Goya Foods because Goya Foods supports President Trump. Well, it was ridiculous because it wasn't even saying that they support President Trump. It was just saying thank you for your involvement. And so what ended up happening, you had a huge insurgence of people that was like, this is wrong. And so then people started buying only Goya Foods. And then all the moral elitists on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, they were kind of like, oh my goodness, what's happening? And Goya Foods got a boost in sales because of the boycott. Chick-fil-A, same thing happened a few years ago. Mike Huckabee, who was the governor of Arkansas, became a presidential candidate, didn't get elected, and now is a political pundit. And so what he did after someone decided to boycott Chick-fil-A for their stance on gay marriage, because Chick-fil-A is a conservative values Christian company, and so they were like, yeah, marriage is between one man and one woman. That was the CEO's stance. There was a huge boycott surrounding that, and it was amazing because then Mike Huckabee said, we're going to make a Chick-fil-A day. So if you support Chick-fil-A, go shopping at Chick-fil-A this day. We want to go out and support them. Well, across all of the United States, lines where people were waiting to shop at Chick-fil-A for hours. It was like waiting for a roller coaster at Six Flags or Disneyland. I mean, I personally ate there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I had to take a 2 or 3 hour lunch break just to get my lunch. And they actually made more in that one day than they did the entire year, just because people came out in droves in support. We think that these leftist ideals and the people that perpetuate them, that's the voice of the culture, when in reality it's really just a few people on social media that are just really loud, and they get a lot of people to get loud with them. But in terms of, there actually is a silent majority that still believes in conservative values. They just don't want to be canceled. They don't want to put their business at risk. They don't want to put their family at risk. So a lot of times they just keep silent and they just kind of keep to themselves. George Barna, when he did his Gen Z study, he said that they're the first generation to care more about making money than raising a family. And that's very telling. Forbes magazine identified that Gen Z is the most fiscally conservative generation since World War II. And that their vote is going to really matter because basically they're going to vote on whatever policies put more money in their pocket and whatever gives them the freedom to make more money. Many preteens are already starting businesses. Earlier we talked about, them mowing lawns and doing lemonade stands. One famous example is Alex's lemonade stand. Alex ended up passing away, but she was making money for medical treatments for the disease that she had, and basically created this entire organization called Alex's Lemonade Stand, and the money goes towards helping families with diseased children, or children with certain diseases, I should say, is a better way to put that. Then you have YouTube monetization. Honestly, there's some preteens today that are making more money than I would see in my lifetime. Preteens and youth are making millions of dollars through YouTube monetization. It's absolutely incredible. Leveraging the power of social media to create a business at such a young age where you can retire in your early 20s and live a comfortable life the rest of your life. They don't want to do what their parents did and just grind early in the morning to late at night and being exhausted all the time. They see their parents and like, I don't want that. And so they're trying to find creative ways to build wealth so that they can retire at an early age and enjoy their lives. Whether or not you agree with that or not, that's the kind of mentality that we're dealing with Gen Z. Our job as preteen ministers is to understand the world preteens live in, that what they buy, how they think, what they do, and we use that knowledge, that understanding, to help them navigate applying a biblical worldview to their lives. We need to teach them to stop feeling so guilty and shameful all the time. Honestly, I can't tell you how many Gen Zs are depressed because society has made them feel so shameful about the way that they're living, about the things that they're spending their money on. We need to help preteens to live a more simple life, because in that simplicity is where they're going to find peace. You know, all this complicated mess that they have to dig through on social media of like, oh, you bought this video game, now you're an evil person, or you like Star Wars, don't you know that Star Wars, did this or this or this in the past? Like I said, if you do your research, you're going to find something you don't agree with in any of these companies or products or services or whatever. We need to decomplicate, if I can say that, decomplicate the lives of preteens so that we're not just putting so much shame on them and they're not growing up feeling so awful all the time. We need to bring them into a place of peace. We need to help them navigate this online world, the products they spend their money on, the businesses that are trying to grab their loyalty, the voices of the culture that are impending and kind of pressuring them from the outside. It's stealing their freedom. They're becoming enslaved to their emotions. And we have to show them that there's a better way, that there's a truth, and that truth, if they live according to it, will provide them with the peace that they desire. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Remember and recap that the message doesn't change, but your methods have to change according to the times that we're living in. Know what's going on, but at the same time, don't get so inundated that you lose your peace, because we can only produce in kind, and you can't give peace if you don't have it. So, whatever endeavor that you have, maybe you're a business person, maybe you have different ideas on different products and services that you can provide, and I pray that God uses those things to speak life into the culture, speak peace, and giving a message of hope. Maybe you'll be the next Chick-fil-A story. I pray that some of you would experience that. That would be amazing. So anyways, see you next time. We're going to talk about Education Mountain and all the controversies and things associated with that. So I love you. Thanks for watching.